You'd think purchasing 30 acres of serene, undisturbed countryside would finally provide me with the expansive space and hard-earned freedom I dedicated my entire life to achieving. I wasn't some disruptive or inconsiderate neighbor. I was a decorated combat veteran who had transitioned into ranching, utilizing this pristine open land to find peace, care for my animals, and occasionally engage in target practice at my private, properly registered and fully permitted shooting range. But that perspective wasn't shared by the local HOA. No, in their eyes, I wasn't viewed as a neighbor or community member. I was a problem to be dealt with. A perpetual source of noise complaints with an invisible target painted on my back from the very moment I signed those property papers and moved in. Initially, I made every effort to be neighborly and accommodating. I took the initiative to attend the monthly HOA meeting, bringing along some of my specially prepared homemade jerky as a gesture of goodwill, and even extended an open offer of fresh free-range eggs to the entire neighborhood through their Facebook group. The majority of my neighbors were welcoming and reasonable people. However, there was this one particular individual, Ronald, who held the position of HOA president, who carried himself with an air of unearned authority, sporting his signature mirrored aviator sunglasses and maintaining a perpetual smirk that suggested he fancied himself the unofficial sheriff of a jurisdiction nobody had actually granted him. His disapproval of me was palpable. I could sense his disdain the instant he reluctantly shook my hand, his gaze dropping disapprovingly to my work boots as though they were tracking in contamination for what he considered the wrong side of the fence. Nevertheless, I maintained a low profile and minded my own business. My target shooting practice was strictly limited to reasonable afternoon hours, never during the peaceful nighttime hours, never in the early morning when people were starting their day. I meticulously reviewed and followed all local ordinances and regulations. There is absolutely no question that my activities were completely within legal bounds. But that didn't prevent them from taking action. One particularly ordinary afternoon, just as I was wrapping up a brief rifle practice session in my back pasture, I noticed the alarming sight of red and blue emergency lights reflecting off the weathered surface of my barn. 4 fully equipped police squad cars had surrounded my property. The officers had their weapons drawn. One of them shouted command for me to drop my weapon. Despite the fact that it was properly secured in its case and safely strapped. With deliberate movements, I raised my hands in a calm manner and explained my situation. I was conducting legal activities on my private property, well within my rights. The responding officers thoroughly examined my permits and credentials, engaged in an extended conversation with me, and ultimately offered their sincere apologies. They had been intentionally deceived by a false report. Someone had called in a report of an active shooter in close proximity to a school. The reality? The nearest educational facility was a full 11 miles away from my property, and my supposed active shooter activities consisted of nothing more than target practice with a single paper target carefully mounted on secured hay bales. Through a brief investigation, it became readily apparent that the source of this malicious false report was none other than, as you might have guessed, Ronald. That incident marked the moment when I made a crucial decision. I wouldn't simply defend my rights passively. I would take this opportunity to provide them with an educational experience they wouldn't soon forget. Upon careful review of property documents, I discovered that my land shared a modest strip of unused territory with the HOA, specifically an old community trail easement that had fallen into neglect. According to the precise language in the deed, this particular strip of land could be legally leased for either agricultural or recreational purposes, provided that no permanent structures were erected on the property. Would you care to guess what qualifies as a recreational use? A fully equipped, mobile outdoor shooting range. Working alongside experienced legal counsel, I methodically filed all the required permits, installed professional-grade sound mitigation baffles, engineered a state-of-the-art safety berm, and, yes indeed, strategically expanded my shooting range to extend right up to the boundary of HOA territory. The local sheriff personally conducted a thorough inspection of the facility and granted his official approval. The inaugural event? It was truly something to behold. I extended invitations to numerous fellow veterans for a safe, structured celebratory gathering. We hosted a community barbecue with fresh grilled burgers, conducted professional shooting drills, and maintained a pleasant atmosphere with appropriate background music playing through a portable speaker. We enforced strict rules: no alcoholic beverages, no unruly behavior. The entire event exemplified discipline, professional pride, and genuine camaraderie. As for Ronald, he could only stand at the property line, arms tightly crossed, his jaw visibly clenching as he witnessed the very operation he had tried so desperately to shut down transform into the neighborhood's most sought-after weekend destination. Several families in the community even approached me about arranging comprehensive firearm safety instruction for their teenage children. After that successful demonstration, the HOA ceased their harassment entirely. Ronald quietly submitted his resignation 3 weeks later, citing some vague excuse about personal stress and obligations. As for me, my routine remains unchanged. I continue rising with the sun, tending to my beloved goats, and maintaining an impeccably clean shooting range. While I don't engage in target practice every single day, whenever I do, I can't help but smile, knowing that it represents more than just exercising my rights. It stands as a clear message. Think twice before challenging those who follow the rules diligently. More often than not, we understand them far more thoroughly than you ever will. Asterisk, asterisk.